Hey Jamie. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. I was just telling everybody that, you've been very kind to join and it's going to be my first live in 4 years. So I'm very grateful that it's with you. And
I'm honored.
I'm honored as well. So guys, just for anybody who doesn't know Jamie, she's a amazing, amazing animal activist. One day you'll find her dressed as a massacred animal in London, and the next day you'll find her debating in favor of veganism with Piers Morgan, which I love. I love, by the way. So Jamie. So let's set out already. Everybody has everything. We all have triggers, right? Which is why we converted to veganism, vegetarianism. I had mine because I used to pass a wet butcher shop when I was 18 on the way to university, and I saw animals being hacked firsthand. I went from loving butter chicken for it to be my comfort food to completely off my plate, completely all animals off my plate. So, what was yours, Jamie? What was your trigger? How did you get into veganism?
Sure. Thank you for the question. And your story is something that resonates, I think, with a lot of people because it's so beautiful how you describe going from this traditional dish that you grew up on, this butter chicken that you love, to then actually getting closer to the suffering, seeing the truth for what it was, and then changing. And for me, it was a similar process. I think it was multiple things along the way. It wasn't just one thing that made me vegan overnight. When I was 13, I was driving on a highway with my grandparents, and I was sitting in the car with my dog, and we passed by a pig livestock truck. And it was the first time I had ever seen animals on their way to slaughter. And it got me questioning, is there really a difference between the animals in the truck and the one that's sitting next to me in the car? And so that was actually the first connection that I had with the food that was on my plate and the animals that it came from. And then I went vegetarian and eventually vegan. I went vegan in 2018, actually, as a challenge. It was a Veganuary challenge.
Awesome.
So it was a 31 day challenge, and I said, "Oh, I can do that. 31 days, I don't have to stick with it." And I learned about the dairy and the egg industries. I learned about animals used in clothing, and really going vegan was just about aligning the values I already had with my actions.
That's pretty cool. So that happened quite early on. It's actually quite similar to me. Mine was 18, you were 13, but you were like way ahead. Awesome.
No,
Um,
well, I went vegan at 18.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Um, is this a way of life for you, activism? And is it like your full time? Because I know that the amount of time and commitment that you put into it is not something I've seen in a lot of activists.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it started off as just going to demos wherever I could. I started going to Anonymous for the Voiceless Cubes, which are in many cities around the world where we just stand in public places with TV screens and show people how animals get to our plates and different ways that they're used and have very educational conversations. And activism slowly but surely made me realize it was kind of the one thing that quieted my mind,
Mm.
where I would wake up and I would just think about the animals and what they were going through, and then I would go to sleep and it was the last thing on my mind, and I wanted to do something about it. So it became more of like, oh, I want to just, go to this protest, and instead became I need to. Because if we don't, who will really? So it started off. I studied journalism and media in school, and I am an editor and filmmaker. And I graduated college and started working at a film company called Cave Light Films.
Mhm.
And at Cave Light, we made 6 short documentaries together, which basically just told stories in the animal rights world. So that was like activism, but I was more behind the scenes.
Yeah.
to kind of make a long story short and tell you what I'm doing today, my boss at the time, he said, I'd love to film some of your outreach and some of your activism. And I'm like, really? Okay, if you want to. He was also vegan and super animal rights. And so we started filming some of my conversations, and that's how Jamie's Corner was formed. And it was very accidental. Like, I actually prefer to edit and I prefer to like be more behind the scenes. But I realized that, okay, well, if this is a way that we can reach people, I'll do the interviews. So it started off like a transition where I was working at the film company, went to working for Generation Vegan, running their social media channels, and then full time my podcast, YouTube channel, Instagram, and I work with organizations like PETA, Mercy for Animals. And so, yeah, every day I'm working on trying to educate the public about what's going on with animals.
That's really awesome. I have seen, Jamie, some intense videos as well of you standing outside a fur shop and, educating people about the tragedy that fur is. And I call it tragedy because that's really what it is. And I've also seen how the owners of those stores get very feisty, for lack of a better word, with you. Have you ever felt super uncomfortable, and to what extent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good question, because as activists, we do put ourselves in harm's way at times to get the message out there.
Yeah.
I think, using your better judgment of like, is this something where my life is at risk?
Yeah.
Maybe I need to take a step back and analyze where can I be the most impactful. One example is like, look, if I just go to jail for the rest of my life, am I going to be helpful for the animals? Like, if I take actions that, at least publicly, that are going to get me in a lot of trouble, like where can I be the most useful? And so finding that balance of, I think communication is where my skill set is education, and public speaking. I really enjoy doing, talking at universities and doing on the ground activism and filming it and posting it online to raise awareness. So with that angle in mind, I didn't expect the fur shop guy last week or the week before to push me, but it happened. And honestly, like, look, what the animals are going through, having their skin ripped off their bodies, spending their whole lives in cages, a little shove is not anything compared to that. And it's interesting because people were asking me, they're like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, look behind me. Like, the individual behind me is not okay. And I'm fine. Like, I got pushed a little bit. The guy with the police showed up and harassment charges were pressed. So hopefully he doesn't do it again.
Yeah.
But these people get triggered. They get angry because they know deep down that they're in the wrong and they're guilty. And we as vegans are like mirrors. We stand there and we reflect back to them what they're doing wrong and what's the unethical behavior.
I could honestly feel the negativity coming through the screen when he was getting feisty with you, or the way he nudged you. I did not like it. Like, I watched it and it pissed me off.
Yeah.
So, have you felt unsafe in other protests?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, I think if you are not getting a reaction or response from the other side, you're not reaching them. Like, I actually appreciate some of that feedback, even all the troll comments I get on my page, because it shows me that something is getting through and striking a chord, and they're thinking about what they just saw.
Yeah.
And I really do try in my activism to maintain a level of calmness in my approach. I really do. It takes immense amount of practice. I will tell you that right now, because when I first went vegan, there was no way in hell I was not gonna like fight back. I was like very aggressive, but through my own self-practice and through yoga and like therapy and whatever, like I've
Healing.
managed to reel it in a little bit to be more effective and to be able to maintain a level of calmness. So to answer your question, do I feel unsafe? Yeah, there's times. I mean, I've been on farms in the middle of the night where I'm like, yeah, I don't feel that safe, but will the benefit of getting the footage or doing the rescue or whatever it is outweigh the risk that I'm taking?
Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it. That's really good way of looking at it, because you're still sort of doing stuff to reach out and do activism for the animals, but at the same time you're sort of trying to keep it as balanced as possible, is what I think you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. I want to show people too that this lifestyle, it's the future. It's kind. It's cool. It can be fashionable.
Yes.
It's not like this, this stereotypical. It's either you see the tree hugging hippie vegan that wears like twigs and leaves as shoes, uh, you know, or it's the militant activist that is wearing all black and covered in blood. It's like anybody can be vegan. Like it's not for one type of person. It's just, I think it's the least we can do as humans to just have respect for other animals,
Other
on the planet.
species.
Other species.
That's right. That's right. I agree with you. And in LaBante also, we try to do everything with a positive vibe, like with love, right? I mean, like the only reason, oh, there you go, with her Villa bag. The only reason, Jamie, that we do what we do, and trust me, I've been called a tree hugger in my family. I've been been called all those names that you have. So my activism is different. I'm trying to spread cruelty-free fashion through the world. And for me, that is like a big contribution of the way I can do it. And I think all of us have our own way of communicating, and you obviously have a fantastic approach to it as well. So let's talk a little bit about that Piers Morgan interview. I think it's fantastic that you got that coverage, right? But did you feel like, he's one of the guys who sort of really likes the sound of his own voice. Did you feel you got the message across the way you intended?
I tried to fit in as much as I could in the seconds that he would let me speak. It's like, dude, you invite me on your show and then you talk over me every time I try to say something.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately I was happy with how it turned out, because I think the optics made him look kind of bad. Like he did not look intelligent. He did not look mature at all. And I did manage to talk about how animals are forced into gas chambers. And I was sure to always bring it back to that, because what they try to do is they try to knock you off and confuse you and bring up lions and tigers and bring up deserted islands, and they bring up all these things. And really it's like, it's simple. It's like, just bring it back to the victims, to the animals, and ask, how would you feel if you were in their position? Would you try to find better ways of doing the wrong thing? Would you want somebody making excuses to continue harming you? So it's very, to the victim, it is black and white. And so I always try to bring it back to the animals. And by the end of the interview, him and the farmer woman, Tommy Laren, they actually were saying, yeah, we're against factory farming. We're against factory farming. And it's like, well, 99% of animals come from factory farms, number one. Yeah. And number two, you definitely eat animals that are from family local farms, but they all end up at the slaughterhouse. And that's the point that I got through, is that we are against their slaughter. Yeah.
I like that. And I noticed that you did get that 1 or 2 points through, because when he started saying that I haven't seen one healthy vegan ever, I really felt like you should have told him, excuse me, have you not got your glasses? Can you not look at me? Like, hello?
Oh my God. Silence was the answer in that situation.
Oh my God. That was funny. But the topic of that conversation was supposed to be, Jamie, is about veganism dying, right? So this is a very controversial topic, and I think that we should sort of talk about it. Because I've sort of seen another documentary done by Veg Out, about the vegan graveyard, a lot of vegans falling off the ladder. And, what do you actually think about that? Because I have had not many. I've had one influencer tell me to take her off our blogs and our posts. Yep, because she was no longer vegan, because she got a lot of traffic through our blogs. So we took it off because we are sort of born with, love and respect for all. But I thought it was odd. And, I'm just getting your viewpoint because, I'd love to hear some more information around this because
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I do not think veganism is dying at all. I think that a lot of people call themselves vegan without actually knowing what it is. And they're just on a plant-based diet for 3 weeks. And then when they're not eating properly, then they blame it on veganism. And then they say they're no longer vegan. That's one side of things. And that's what we see a lot of. There's also a lot of misinformation. And the meat, dairy, and egg industries are paying influencers to confuse the public. So you see this push for raw milk and grass-fed beef, and it's the misinformation is like on an all-time high. So the public doesn't know what to believe. And when we look at veganism, I mean, there's more people signing up for Veganuary every year, which is the 31-day challenge, which is how I started. The documentaries like What the Health, Cowspiracy, Seaspiracy definitely had an impact. But we have to recognize that just because the market value of certain vegan products might be going down, like look at Beyond Meat stocks, that doesn't reflect the people going vegan, because a lot of vegans don't eat Beyond Meat. A lot of vegans like eat whole foods plant-based, actually. A lot of people I know. And not only that, I think that there was this huge boom where vegan was like this buzzword back in 2018, 2019. It felt like it was growing and it was everywhere. And so I think that companies and also restaurants might have overshot it a bit and started expanding and opening. And then next thing you know, they have to reel it back in. It's like any other market. It's going down now. But when we look at what veganism really is, it's just this idea that rejects the exploitation of animals. So if you have those values, I don't feel that is dying. In fact, I think it's just getting stronger, and the industries are feeling more and more threatened, and they're having a harder time at covering up the truth. And so we just have to keep pushing along. And honestly, Vanita, like, it doesn't change my activism. Like, even if I never see animal liberation in my lifetime, I'm still going to fight as hard as I can. I'm going to do what needs to get done now, because that's what needs to happen. So I try to, have strategy and make and have specific goals and whatnot. But either way, I'm going to be speaking out about this and fighting for the animals.
I love that warrior in you. I love it. It's really nice. It really comes across, because I think all of us have that in us, which is why we're all working towards this, right? Let's talk a little bit about the leather industry, because we sort of spoke about that. And there is a lot of influencers out there who talk about, I'm talking about like leather handbags, right? Because for me, that's a big thing. So we have a lot of influencers who talk about leather handbags, and that's all they talk about. And they call vegan leather plastic, right?
Oh my God.
Like, people are so ignorant, right? And I cannot blame them. Like, I'm going to pretend like, I think that there is a bunch of mischief creators as well. And I've seen that even on our platform, we get a lot of comments from suddenly these random men, right? I don't think they've ever purchased anything from us. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what is going on? But then I also had a few influencers who I really appreciate and wanting to sort of come on board. Do you but I think some of them feel like outsiders because they are not vegan, right? And I'm calling them because I love them and I love their work and I respect everything that they stand for. We as a community are quite compassionate, correct? I mean, that's why we're sort of doing that. We feel the compassion towards animals. Do you think that we unintentionally feel like they're not good enough, which is why they might be feeling like outsiders? Because I can understand why we receive so much angst. And that is me thinking from a different perspective.
Yeah, I think people might feel judged for sure. And I think that, you know, as I said before, when we are presenting the information, it forces them to look inward and have to recognize where they're wrong. And a lot of people they see themselves as good people. They don't want to think about the ways in which they are causing harm and suffering. And also they don't want to change their habits and their ways. And so I try to, well, even dealing with trolls, I try to just ask questions and I try to understand, you know, like what the hesitation is and respond using some humor and keeping it lighthearted. Like, I don't think we should be coming back at them, being nasty and calling them names or things that
I agree.
Aren't serving anyone really. Like, I find that when it comes to being effective and when it comes to being a strong activist, I feel that we need to be able to look at these non-vegan people as allies.
Correct.
We need to be able to see them as kind, as empathetic, as compassionate, as intelligent even. Because if we can't even see them that way, how do we expect them to go vegan?
Correct.
So where we can draw them in, I mean, like what you're doing, working with influencers that might not yet be vegan, they're now exposed to the message and they're promoting something like LaBante to their audiences. And we ultimately need to show the public, look, you can get vegan leather that is sustainable, that is fashionable, that doesn't hurt animals, and there's no sacrifice. So when it comes to these comments, these ignorant comments about vegan leather being unsustainable or having plastic in them, it's ignorant because they don't actually realize that cow skin leather is coated in plastic. And that even the worst types of plastic, like polyurethane, that might be found in some vegan leathers, not all of them, they have an impact on the planet that's 7 times less than cow skin leather. So even the worst types of vegan leather are actually more sustainable than cow skin. So with that said, we can feel very calm and confident in knowing that the truth, the science, the ethics are on our side. And now all we have to do is express this in a way that these people will hear us as opposed to putting their walls up. So with these comments, I try to respond respectfully, but also stern and firm. And so I think that we need to look at trolls and have respect, because at one point I wasn't always vegan. And usually when they're commenting things like that, they're defensive because they're dealing with their own what's it called? Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, I like that. I really like the way you said it, because, you know, even I'm trying to sort of understand how to deal with them, because we want more people who use leather to convert to non-leather. Like, we want them because this is having a direct impact on animals. It's having a direct impact on
Yeah.
Absolutely bang on. There is also another element of, you know, us having a high moral ground. So if we're doing something, so something happened recently, it only happened yesterday. We had an AI video up there. Like, we used AI, you know, to do a trend video. So there were comments from, you know, some of those random men who we don't know who.
These are the same men that tell me that my makeup is not vegan. And
That's
I'm like, Billy, have you ever like put on lipstick? Like, what do you know about makeup?
I love it. I love it. Like, I love how these people like actually think that it's impacting us. But then we also received some comments from vegan people, and then we addressed it, right? Because finally you've got Chanel, Prada, right? And we've now got a level playing ground because we're able to use AI because we don't need huge marketing budgets to finally do something and create awareness for the brand and for, for the animals. And I think people understand, but there is a lot of infighting sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
And and that's what's sort of causing us to go behind rather than go forward. I am not sure how to address this. And I want to know because you're on the field. Like, I want to get your viewpoint as how do we come together as a group, as a team? Like, we need to create like our 10XR movement compared to the leather people because they've got such huge, deep pockets that it's really hard to compete with these guys. Really hard. What do you think, Jamie? Like, what do you think? Because this picking on each other just is nonsense.
Totally. We have to stick together. We are less than 2% of the population. And I think what divides us the most is the infighting. And so if you are somebody that disagrees with how another vegan is doing something, go to them privately, express your views, or do it better yourself and just stay in your own lane. Like, who am I to judge how somebody's doing activism? If I knew what the right way to do something was, we'd see a vegan world. So when people attack me, I don't even give it any energy, to be honest with you. I hardly respond. And what's so great about Instagram, you can block people. You can restrict and you can block and you never hear from them again.
Yeah.
That's not worth my time. What am I going to do? Fight with other vegans in the comments for an hour when I could be editing my next video, planning my next protest, researching for my next keynote? Like, I have other things to do that are more important that will actually help animals and push the needle forward. And look, we're all human. Like, we're trying. I can't say that what we do is always going to be perfect, and you learn from your failures and you move on. I'll give you an example. This morning I was out, I left my house at 5:30 in the morning to go to a PETA demo in New Jersey, outside in like the 20-degree Fahrenheit temperatures. Wow. Where I was in a like leotard covered in blood, hanging upside down with my throat slit. It was like outside of a fried chicken place. And so as we're setting up the demo, I decided to make a little reel about Chapel Roan's dress that she wore to the Grammys. And I saw something online that she used cow nipples to hook the dress onto. Now, because I'm like in the freezing cold, I have blood all over me. I'll be honest with you, I didn't fact check.
Yeah.
If this was true, but I kind of just hopped on it because I'm like, this is hot. This probably happens. I know it happens.
Yeah.
They use animal body parts for all sorts of things.
Correct.
But I don't know if Chapel Rowan specifically used it. So anyway, I post this video. Within like 20 minutes, it has 15,000 views.
Yeah.
And the comments are like, did you fact check this? And I'm like, I saw one of her stylists post about this, that he was on her team and that they used cow nipples instead of a prosthetic made from silicone or something. But then people were like, he's a satire account. I can't believe you. Like, you have a platform and you're posting misinformation. And it's like, I am sorry, okay? Like, I learned from this. I took it down. I will not post about this again, okay? I'm like outside hanging upside down naked right now in the freezing cold with snow on the ground. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I should have waited.
Yeah. Yeah. And all of us are human. We make mistakes. And you recognize it, you accept it, and you took it down, right?
Yes.
Correct. So what is the hardest part of being an activist? Is it the upside down in the freezing cold and leotards? Is it the trolls? What is the hardest?
I think the hardest part is not being understood by the people closest to you. Like, I've spent almost the past decade of my life fighting for the animals, and not everybody in my family is vegan, and they actually treat it kind of like it's something that's just something I do Oh, that's Jamie's thing. And it's like, this is like one of the most pressing issues of our time. And you guys, the people that are supposedly the closest to me, could care less. And you just act like, oh, it's a thing that my daughter does, or it's a thing, yeah, my sister is a PETA person. And it's like, you're missing the point here. Like, you're causing so much suffering to animals that are no different than our beloved dog that we had growing up, who was my favorite person, you know? So the hardest part really is the social aspect, the social pressure. And I've gotten, because I'm so steadfast and strong in my beliefs. There's nothing that would, sway me. And I'm very comfortable talking to people that are in disagreement with us. Like, I can have these conversations. I do every day. I can only imagine, people that don't want to speak up about this, how they feel around their family and their friends. And there was a point where I was quiet about it too in the beginning. People actually didn't even know that I was vegan, like, for the first couple weeks. So yeah, it's the activism part is the part where I'm like, okay, at least I'm trying to do something about it. I don't know if it's doing any good, but I know that doing nothing is no good, as Regan Russell once said. But the hardest part is, like, seeing the people closest to you kind of just look away.
Yeah. I really feel you, because I had the same thing. I've had the same thing. And, I'm an ex-banker. My family is vegetarian now. A lot of them have, because of spirituality. But I still don't. I don't get that support that, everybody else does. So
it's interesting, right? It's like something just, like, clicks. It's like our dharma's activated. Like, our purpose here is, it's just so clear. It's like, I don't have a choice. This is just what I do. I don't know. Yeah. Whereas, like, other people just see it as this way of eating, or, like, I don't know. I don't know how it's weird, because my parents are very supportive. My mom says she's vegan. And I'm like, okay, the intention is there. Okay. Yeah. I'll take it. Yeah. My dad, not yet, but getting there. Yeah. But it's just like, what are you waiting for,
Correct. Do you see a time when the world population is at least 50% vegetarian, 25% vegan? Do you see that happening in your lifetime? My lifetime?
I believe in being optimistic. Yeah. So yes, I do. I envision a big shift, whether it's a shift away from factory farming, something, it has to happen. Something is going to snap in the system, because our planet simply can't sustain the way things are right now. Yeah. And with new technology that's coming out, with cultivated meat being a possibility, you look at the tobacco industry. Within a century, you saw how people went from actually thinking cigarettes were healthy and just something that everybody did, to now there's a negative connotation around it, and people don't look at it as something that's healthy. So I believe that there can be this shift, and we just need more people speaking up on it. I actually was joking around with my friend Ashley the other day, where we were talking about how hunters, people that hunt animals, they should be forced to wear a pin that says that they're hunters. Because if you go on a date with one of these people, which this happened to Ashley, she's sitting at this restaurant with some guy, and then midway through the dinner, she finds out that this guy's a hunter. So we said in our podcast, we're like, they should be required to wear a pin. And then I took it a step further, and I'm like, when the day comes where there's more vegans in the world than meat eaters, the weirdo meat eaters, people that are still eating dead bodies and corpses and secretions and whatever, should be required to wear a pin that says like, I am psychotic. I don't know. Like, I have no empathy. You know, there are people that are incapable of possessing empathy. There are, and that we call them psychopaths.
But I think that, Jamie, the problem is that a lot of people, like you rightly said, are conditioned since they were children to eat meat. I was brought up in a meat eating household.
Same.
I'm sure you were too. And it took something for us, which we both realize now, there were some triggering events in our lives which helped convert us faster. So I just think that there's a huge opportunity. And I think you're absolutely right. I think veganism is growing. And there will be a day where we have many more, hopefully, more vegetarians and vegans than we have meat eaters. That would be awesome.
But to say all of this too, it's just, I think that there's something important about making it socially unacceptable and making veganism cool again. Like, because when we look at fur, for example, out of all the industries, the fur industry is failing the most.
Yeah,
people are ashamed. A lot of people are ashamed to wear fur, and maybe it's because there's a fear that they will be called out.
Correct.
That they will have blood poured on them. I mean, back in the 80s, you look at like the PETA protests and the runway crashers, and it's because fur was made socially unacceptable. And I think we have to do that with every one of these industries where people actually have to question, am I going to be thought of as somebody that's like cruel and unkind? And am I going to like be attacked for wearing something like this, you know?
And I think that's what finally made a lot of leading design houses drop fur. It's just a foundation, because it went from being a profit maker to like an unprofitable segment. And that's the only thing which made them drop it. Otherwise, there was no way in hell they were going to drop it.
Right.
Right? So you're right. It needs a fundamental shift and a negative connotation to be wearing leather, but people don't realize that, and that's because the deep pockets of the leather industry, the dairy industry, who, you know, the Got Milk campaign, the leather campaign. Oh, leather is luxury. No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
It's somebody's skin.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, I think you're right, Jamie. I think there will be a day, and I hope it's in either of our lifetimes.
Yeah.
As a last question, do you have any important message that you would like to give to the community in general? And I'm specifically talking about the vegan community.
Sure. I think my message would be to help people recognize that their voice is so powerful and that people will listen to you and hear you. And it's important now more than ever that you use your voice, because without that voice, we can't amplify the animals' voices, and we can't see the change that we want to see fast enough. And so finding a way of activism that suits you. You don't have to be hanging upside down in the freezing cold with blood on your throat like I do. You don't have to do that. You can start an amazing vegan fashion company like LaBante. You can use your skills in that. You can maybe write a song if you're an artist. Finding creative ways to make a difference. I think we all need to do that, even when your voice shakes, even when things are uncomfortable. Push through and take yourself and your own ego out of it and do it, because it needs to be done and the animals need us.
Yeah, I love that. And I think just one point I would add is you choose with your dollars. When you choose to support a leather brand or a brand which supports cashmere wool, you are choosing. So be careful with how you spend your money and spend it in the right direction, because you choose with your dollars. That's your voice as well. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's awesome. Thank you, Jamie. I really appreciate your time today. You're doing such an awesome work, like such amazing work. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I hope to see you in London sometime this year. I'll definitely be going to Vegan Camp Out.
Okay.
August, so I'll be in London around that time for sure.
That would be awesome. And we're launching in a major department store in the US, which I think you know about, or you might know about a little bit of a hint. But we will be back with much wider spread. And I'm really hoping to convert a lot of leather wearers to vegan handbag buyers.
You're doing it. You're providing the solution, and that's what we need to do. Is it's a very positive way of doing this, and hitting people and hitting the industries where it hurts most. Their wallets. Exactly. I don't think people don't inherently want to like hurt animals. They're just doing it because they're making money.
That's true. That's true. Oh my God. Jamie, we need to do this again.
I know.
That was really good. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.